Hey, hey, hey! It's another episode of Math It Up. Today we're doing fractions assignment 6. So if that's what you're working on, you're on the right video. Make sure you use the timestamps. Unless you just want to hang out through the whole video, you probably don't. Check in the description, hit the timestamp for the question you're on, and like always, I've been working really hard. Do I sound like a YouTuber? No, I haven't, and no, I don't. I haven't been working that hard. I do all these videos in one take, no editing. It's easier that way. All right, let's get started. Fractions assignment 6. Question 1. I'm gonna fix this before you guys see it. Question 1A. It says simplify each when writing, or write your answers as a mixed fraction when possible. So 1A, 12/18. Again, we're looking for the greatest common factor, the GCF. If you know your timetable, you know that the greatest common factor between these two numbers is going to be 6. If you divide the top and the bottom by 6, you're going to create an equivalent fraction that is going to be 2/3. 6 divided by, or 12 divided by 6 is 2, and 18, 12. That's my answer. Or 12. 18 divided by 6 is 3. 2/3. 2/3. Question 1B. 15/18. Now again, this is a proper fraction, and we want to make an equivalent fraction, but simplify it, because there is a greatest common factor between these two numbers, a number greater than 1. So that's going to be 3. Now, if I do those, and 15 divided by 3 is going to be 5/6. 5/6 is our equivalent fraction in simplified terms. Question 1C. 30/18. Now this is a improper fraction, so it's going to turn into a mixed numbers. We have two routes. We can simplify first, or we can pull the mixed number out first. It's up to you which way you go. I think with this one, I'm going to pull the mixed number out first and then simplify. So equivalent mixed fraction is going to be, there'll be one group of 18 in 30, and there'll be a remainder of 12. So 1 and 12/18. We can simplify this, dividing both top and bottom by 6, which is going to leave us with 1 and 2/3. That will be our answer, 1 and 2/3. Question 1D. Just to humor, I guess, myself, and I'm going to do the opposite way first. I'm going to simplify, and then maybe pull out the group, and then simplify again. Just because it doesn't really matter what order you go in, as long as you get to the final mixed simplified answer. So 36 and 54, I can't think of a fraction that's, a number that's the GCF offhand, so I'm just going to start with 2. I know they're both even numbers, so they'll both divide by 2. This will create an equivalent fraction of half of 36 is going to be, half of 36 is going to be 18. Then half of 54 is going to be 27. Okay, so now I see they both go 9. So now I'll divide by 9, which is probably what I should have started with, but I didn't see that relationship right away, so that's okay. So we're simplify once again, which will be 4 thirds for 9 times. Sorry, that's not right. 4 thirds. It's 3 halves. 3 over 2 is what I'm looking for. And then we can turn this into a mixed fraction simply by taking out that whole group. There's one whole group in here, and leaves us with 1 and 1/2 as our final answer. Remember, as you check these answers, you want to check them and box them. It's a habit we want to get into. Question 2A, and I'm going to write this here because you will have that on your sheet. 2A, find the sum and write your answer as a mixed number when possible. Let's change up our camera angle here. Let's get off our page. So 2A, starting off pretty simple here. The first one, we're looking on the bottom for the lowest common multiple. So now the lowest common multiple is going to be 6. It's designed like this so that the first questions, you're just working with one side. We don't need to do anything to the other side. We don't need to cross multiply because the GCF is already one of the size. No, not the GCF. The LCM, lowest common multiple, already is 6 on one side. So we just have to do whatever we need to do to the denominator here to get it to be equal to the other side. So that will be multiplying by 2, multiply the top and the bottom by 2. It's dictated by the bottom number. You want to get the denominators the same, but whatever you do to the top, you have to do to the bottom in order to keep it equivalent. We will then rewrite our equivalent fraction statement. Equivalent fraction equation. Sure, okay. So we'll go 4 sixths plus 5 sixths. And then we can write our answer. So that will be equal to 9 sixths. This, of course, is not our final answer because it is not simplified and it is not a mixed number. So let's pull out our group of 6 out of there. So that's going to be equal to 1 and, equal to 1 and 3 sixths. And you can already tell we can divide both the top and the bottom by 3 to create 1 and 1 over 2, 1/2. Final answer. Quite a few steps there, but simple ones to start with. Question 2B. Now 2B. All right, similar. The LCM, lowest common multiple, of 6 and 2 is going to be 6. So we're already halfway there because we only need to work with one side. And if we want to change this number, our denominator here, to be equivalent to equal to our 6, we just have to multiply it by times 3 times 3. So our new equation is going to be 5/6 plus 9/6, and that will be equal to 14/6, which of course we can further simplify. So I'll pull out my mixed number, pull out my groups. 14 divided by 6, right? So 14, there's 2 whole groups of 6 in there with a remainder of 2 over 6. And that, of course, can be divided by 2. The GCF of these two numbers is 2. So it can be simplified further. And it will give us the answer of 2 1/3. That will be our final answer. Box our answer. Next question. Ooh, a mixed number. Fun. So, remember with mixed numbers, you can treat them as if it were 4 plus 1/8 plus 2 plus 5/8. You don't need to do anything. You don't need to unpack or turn these mixed numbers into improper fractions when you're adding. You just simply do the addition as if it was separate questions. 4 1/8. 4 plus 1/8 plus 2 plus 4/5. To add the fractions, you'll still need to find a common denominator, and the lowest common multiple between these two numbers, lowest common denominator, is going to be 40, and we'll have to cross multiply for that. So 8 times both of these, 5 times both of these, cross multiply. That's why they call it cross. So that will equal 4, and I'll write this times 5 times 5. It's always nice to write these down. Keeps it out of our working memory and lets the page and pencil do that for you. So 5/40 plus 2 and 4 times 8, 32/40. And this is going to be equal to, and we can simply add our fronts and then add our fractional pair, add our whole numbers, then add our fractional pair. So it's going to be 6 and something over 40, and it's going to be 37/40. And you can't simplify that. 37 and 40 do not have a common multiple. 37, I believe, is prime. Yeah, I'm going to say 37 is prime. That's our answer. Remember, you can always check your answers as you're going. So 2C, let's check our answer. 2C. Yeah, there it is. 2 or 6 and 37/40. It's one of those things I like to do because I totally make mistakes as we go. Ooh, I like this one. 2 and 1, 2 plus 1/2. Do we need to find a common lowest common multiple or a common denominator? No, it's just 2 plus 1/2, and 1/2 is already simplified. It's just easy as that. Our answer is going to be equal to 2 and 1/2. Oh, that was so tough. Let's box our answer. Let's start doing that on this worksheet. All right. All right, a whole number minus a fraction. So there's a few ways you could go about this. You can go 4/1. So I'm hoping that you have talked about this with your teacher. Every whole number can be represented as a fraction by writing the number 1 underneath it. Right? The 1 represents how many parts there are in one whole. And the top number represents how many parts you have. So if the whole number, it takes 1 part to be a whole, and you have 4 of those parts, then you have 4 total. So something you should have in your toolkit, 4 over 1. Now, if I want to find a common denominator, what's the lowest common multiple of 1 and 11, right? 1 times 11, cross multiply, right? So really it's just going to be, I'll write it. Pardon me. I'll write it, but it's silly for me to write. Times 1, like, it's irrelevant. Times 11, times 11. That's where it comes into play. So let's write our equivalent fractional statement of 44 over 11 is subtract 3 over 11 equals 41 over 11. How many times does 11 go into 41? It'll go 3 times. So this will be 3 whole groups of 11, which will be 33. And 33. 3 11s. And 41 minus 33 is going to be like 11 minus 3. Why can't I? It's going to be 8. 8 11ths. 33 and 8 11. It's like way too simple, but difficult at the same time for some reason. Okay, next. All right, this one's more of stereotypical subtraction. Lowest common denominator, again, cross multiply. You'll have to multiply the 5 across and then multiply the 3 across. So times 3 times 3 times 5 times 5. This will equal 18 15ths minus 10 15ths, which will be equal to 8 15ths. And then we look at 8 15ths and we say, is there a greatest common multiple? Is there a common multiple between them that's greater than 1? No, there's not. Sad. It's a sad day. Can't simplify. Actually, that's great. Makes our job easier. It's already simplified. Let's look at C. Oh, this is 3. 3C. 3C. And ooh, interesting. Improper fraction here. So this is actually greater than 1. So we're going to need to move this up here at some point. Let's do that now. Let's go 1 times 5, multiply, and add that on top. So it's going to turn this into 8. Oops, we'll add. Okay, so this whole is equal to, right? The 1 is equal to 5 over 5. That's how I got this 5 to add on top, if you remember. So I'm going to rewrite my fraction as 8 over 5 subtract 3 over 2. And I also now need to find a common denominator. So I'll cross multiply. Right, 8 times 2, 5 times 2, 5 times 3, 5 times 5, 3 times 5, 2 times 5, which will equal 16 tenths minus 15 tenths, which will equal 1/10. Tricky. 1/10. Can we simplify 1/10? No. That's our answer. D. We are doing question 3D. So 3 quarters minus 1/2. So I'm going to not unpack that whole number because I don't need to. 3 quarters is more than 1/2, so I have enough in my fractional part, so I don't need to like borrow from my whole number. You'll see. So I'm just gonna leave this number alone. All right, if I draw that out, 3 quarters, this one, this one, this one, and 1/2. Subtracting, right? So I have more in this fraction already, right? 1, 2, 3. Than I'm taking away. So I don't need to borrow any from my whole number here. Okay. Common denominator. Just work with one side. Times 2 times 2. So it's going to be 3 equal to 3 3/4 minus 2/4. My answer is going to be 3 1/4. Not too difficult there. All right, next chunk. We got 12 questions here, and they get more difficult. You can see them. That's where we're going. All right, LCM between 6 and 8. Lowest common multiple, 6 and 8. Now, some of you might think, oh, we can just cross multiply. That's not going to bring you to the lowest common multiple. Doing this. You can do the whole, right? But I always like to do 6, 8. If I didn't already know what's a common factor, 2, that'd be 3 and 4. And then you could do, even, yeah. Is there a common factor between 3 and 4? No. So we go 2 times 3 times 4. Right, 2 times 3 times 4 is going to be 24 LCM. So what do I need to do to make 8 into 24? We times it by 3 times 3. And 6 is times 4 times 4. So let's rewrite this as a equivalent fraction. So this will be equal to 3 24ths, 2 and 3 24ths plus 1 and 4/24. So this will equal, let's add our whole numbers and then add our fractions. Our whole numbers are going to be 3, and our fractions are going to be 7/24. Now can I simplify 7/24? I can not simplify 7/24. That's as simple as it gets. Let's look at the next one here. B. So 2 1/6, 1 1/3. This is one of those fractions only need to work with one side because the lowest common multiple is one of the denominators already. So I'm going to multiply this side by 2, rewrite my whole statement. 2 1/6 plus 1 2/6. This is going to equal, next step, add my whole numbers, add my parts, and then simplify. I'm going to have to simplify here. So it's 3 3/6, which I can divide the top and the bottom. The GCF, the greatest common factor of those two, is 3. So my answer will be 3 1/2. That's my answer. Question C. Now, question C, it's a little tricky because there are multiple numbers and some have a whole number, they're mixed, and others, this one's an improper fraction. So I'm like investigating my numbers first here. Whole number, improper fraction. Just gonna change my. So what do we do here? We want to find the LCM, the greatest, the lowest common multiple of these three numbers. So you could multiply them together, but that would get you to what, 24, and that's not the lowest common multiple. What you should do is use your knowledge of multiplication and division and just say it's 12. 2 and 3 and 4 all go into 12. Lowest common multiple. If the numbers are more difficult, of course, you can use the ladder method. I can do it off to the side here. So let's go 2, 3, 4. Do they have a common multiple? 2 of them do. We can divide 2 of them by 2. 1, that's going to be a 3, and that's going to be 2. And then we could multiply these numbers together. 2 times 1. 2 times 1 is 2. Times 3 is 6. Times 2 again is 12. The LCM equals 12. Hopefully your teacher's given you that strategy. If not, just rely on what you know. If you got the 24 by just multiplying all of them together, it'll work still. It'll just have to simplify more at the end. Okay. I'm going to multiply by 6, multiply by 6, multiply by 4, multiply by 4, multiply by 3, multiply by 3, and this will bring us to have equivalent fractions at the end of this here. Equivalent fractions with common denominator. So be careful, pay attention to what you're writing. 18 over 12. It's always going to be over 12. Plus 2 and 4 over 12. Plus 3 and 9 over 12. Let's add our whole numbers and then add our fractions. 2 plus 3 is 5 and something over 12. 18 plus 4 plus 9. 18 plus 4 is 22 plus 9 is 31. There's 2 groups of 12 in there, which adds up to 24. 2 groups of 12 is going to be 7 and 7/12 remaining. And that's, you can't simplify that. 7 and 7/12. Now, because this is one of those answers where you've done more calculations, it's always nice to check it. For C, 7 and 7/12. Yeah, okay. 5, 5, 6. LCM, lowest common multiple, or the lowest common denominator, is going to be 5 times 6, which will be 30, right? We already have a common multiple, these two. And you could actually combine these right off the hop and make... And yeah, that'd make a lot of sense, actually. We'll go through the long way, but 5, right? So that'd be 4 and 5/5, which is 5. 5 plus 1 and 1/6. Geez, that's so easy. I'm doing that. This path of least resistance, always. I like this. Okay. So I'm going to start off and just block this out. Like it doesn't exist yet. 5 and 5, right? So add my numbers and then add my partial numbers, my fractions. So that's going to be 4 equals 4, and 3 plus 2 is 5/5 plus 1 and 1/6. Now, let's look at this fraction I have. Oh my gosh. Rewrite that. 4 and 5/5. That's 5/5 is a whole. So it's 5 plus 1 and 1/6. So I'm going to rewrite this and add these two together. 5 plus 1 and 1/6. Now, all I need to do is say, add my wholes together. 6 and 1/6. Sixth. That's my answer. All right, you have to have various strategies to get to your answer here. Having the same like this strategy I did for 4C is long. I took some shortcuts for D. All right, 4E. Let's look at our greatest common. Let's look at our lowest common multiple. So we have 6, we have 3, and we have 2. Common GCF of those numbers, there's a 3 between two of them, which makes 2, 1, and 2. So 3 times 2 times 1 times 2 is going to be 12. So our LCM is going to equal 12. How do we turn these numbers into 12? Well, we multiply this by 2, and the top, of course, by the same number. This one is times 4, and the top by the same number. And this one times 6, and the top by the same number. Let's rewrite our equivalent fraction. So we have, I'm just gonna see if I can get out of the way a little bit over here. All right, so we have 3 and 10/12 plus 8/12 plus 2 and 6/12 plus 1. So let's write our answer and then simplify. So let's add our whole numbers, 3, 2, 1, 6. Let's add our fraction, which is 10, 8, and 6. 10 and 8 is going to be 18. And plus 6 more is 24. Oh, look at that. There's exactly 2 groups in there. Exactly 2 groups of 12 and 24. So our answer is going to be 8. Take those 2 groups, add them to the whole number. Hey, it's one of these again. Now, I think I'm going to use the same strategy here. I'm just going to combine these 2 together and then go from there. So because they have the same denominator, I'm just going to combine the numerators. And first step, I'll rewrite this as 11/5 plus 1 plus 1/3. Now, the next step is I'll multiply by 3. What I'm going to do instead, I'm going to take out my two groups of 5 in here. So equivalent again, 2 and 1/5. 2 and 1/5 plus 1 plus 1/3. Now I can do common denominators, so it's going to be times 3 times 3 times 5 times 5. And our last equivalent fraction statement with common denominators is going to be 2 and 3/15 plus 1 plus 1 plus 5 and 5/15. So we can add the whole numbers, add the tops, and then simplify if we have to. So it's going to equal 3 and 8/15. That's going to be our answer. Cannot simplify that any further. Pardon me. Can I wonder if it filtered that. Maybe it filtered my nose blow. We are on our last section here. 6 more questions. They get harder. Well, they get longer as they go. Maybe not harder. Let's look at question 5. I'll write it here. 5A. We'll have to cross multiply. The lowest common multiple of these two is them times each other's 20. So times 5 times 5 times 4 times 4, right? So this is going to equal 3 and 5/20ths subtract 16/20ths. Okay. So we're at this point where we can't do this. We can't do this. We have to switch it into an improper fraction. So we're going to multiply 3 by 20 and then add that to the top. 3 times 20 is 60. So 5 plus 6. So let's rewrite it. So this is going to be equal to 65/20ths subtract 16/20ths, which will be equal to, what is that, 55, 49 20ths, which will be equal again to 2 and 9/20ths. Answer 5A. We can always check 5A. Yeah, 2 and 9/20ths. Okay. Okay, so at this question, I don't think we'll have to do that borrowing type of that thing. This shouldn't need to. 3/4 is more than 3/8, so we won't need to borrow. So what we will need to do is find the LCM, which is going to be 8. 4 can go into 8 when you multiply it by 2. You do it to the bottom, you got to do it to the top. So let's rewrite our equivalent fraction of 1 and 6/8 minus 3/8. And we can simply do that math. 6 minus 3 is going to be 1 and 3/8. Answer. Question 5C. 1/3 and 5/8. Okay. I'll have to cross multiply again. So the lowest common multiple is 24. So that's pretty key. Now, okay, let's just do improper fractions first. I actually don't think we need to here, but it's always good to practice this. So we'll go 3 times 3 and then add that number to the top. So we'll add 9 here. 8 times 4. And then we'll add that number to the top here, which is 32. So let's redo this. Oh, this is going to be a tough one, actually. Making this way harder. Equivalent improper fraction. 37/8. Subtract 10/3. So now we need to find a common denominator by cross multiplying times 3 times 3 times 8 times 8. This is going to be equal to something and something over 24 80 over 24. And what's 37 times 3? 90, 111? 111. 80, 111 minus 80 is going to be equal to 31. 31/24. I don't think we'll be able to simplify, but we can write it as a mixed number. So it's going to be 1 and something over 24, and it's going to be 7. 1 and 7/24. Question 5D. Ooh. 2/5 and 3/7. Interesting. I feel like this is going to be really close to 0. All right. Let's go. Let's not convert to a mixed, an improper fraction, and see what happens. Let's cross multiply times 5 times 5 times 7 times 7. Yeah. There we go. I see it now. So it's going to be 15, 1 and 15/35 minus 1 and 14/35. Pretty darn close there. It's going to be equal to 1, right? So we subtract 1 minus 1 and 15 minus 14, which leaves us with 0 whole numbers and 1/35. This is what I was looking at the start, and I was thinking, geez, is 3/7 more than 2/5? Because we're not doing negative numbers here. There's our answer, 1/35. It's darn close. 3 numbers. Okay. Let's convert to improper. Let's convert this to improper, and then we'll find all of our common multiple, which will be 8. So we're going to go 2 times 4, multiply, and then we're going to add that addition to the top, which would be 8. 8. And then we're going to multiply this by 4 and multiply that by 4 and this by 4 and that by 4. We're going to do all this in one step to get to our equivalent statement here. So 9, this will become 9, right? This here. 8 plus 1 is 9. Then times 4. 9 times 4 is 36 eighths minus 7 eighths minus 12 eighths. So I did it this way because then I can just sort of bump down here. 36 minus 7 is going to be 29, and then 29 minus 12 is going to be 27, 17, 17 eighths, and then there's two groups of 8 in 17. So this is going to be equal to 2 and 1 eighth. Yeah, 2 and 1 eighth. Let's look at the answer here. 5e 2 and 1 eighth. There it is. Hoo-yah. All right. Last question, and it's one of these questions. Oh. Interesting. Improper, mixed, and then a different, then different. So it's like 5/5, 5/3 minus 4/3 minus 1/5. So why don't we, whatever, yes, let's do this. We'll convert times 3 and then add to the top. So it's going to be 4. This will become 4/3. And then we can multiply by 5, multiply by 3, by 3, by 5, times 5. So I'm finding common denominators. Times 5, times, no, yeah, times 5, times 5. And let's write out our equivalent fraction statement here of 25/15 minus 20/15 minus 3/15 equals. All right, so 25 minus 20, this first chunk here. 25 minus 20. That will leave us with 5/15. Take away 3 more, which will equal 2/15. That's our answer. 2/15. Can't simplify it. It's a nice time for the song to end there. Just chills out. Why don't we just put that on chat? All right, well, it's square answer. Let's check it. 2/15. That's our answer. And look at that beautiful worksheet there. This is what showing your work should look like. You can see your own work. You can see your own stuff. It's easy to check, easy for your teacher to see what you're doing. It's nice. So, I hope that was good for you. Hope that worked out, and I hope to see you in the next video. In the meantime, remember, you gotta keep mathing it up. Peace out.